Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Call and Flag Talk podcast. It's your boy John, and as always, we are here to bring you the latest in football. Last week was just real hard for scheduling, so it is what it is. However, you all would know by now that, well, if you know, you know. If you don't know, then whatever. But Kid Ponder basically sponsors this podcast in a lot of ways, right? We are doing the Christmas football gift box, and so that was introduced last week. You all have this podcast will come out on Monday, so you all have until tomorrow evening if you want to do customizable orders. If not until after that, you would have to be able to order like based on what is available because we don't want people to be ordering stuff too late and don't get this stuff for Christmas. But that is not what they're here for. All they're here for football. At the top of football here with me is the coach himself, Daniel Patek. Pat, how's it going, my guy?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I cool it. You know, real funny, Pats. We go into the international break now. And since
Mhm.
the last international break, I have not seen my side win a league game.
Really?
That's crazy, yeah? That's really crazy.
You're messing up my predictions then.
Yeah, boy, it is. But we'll get into all that. I wasn't sure where I wanted to start this weekend. I guess the only place that we should start is the Arsenal Chelsea because it was the big card this weekend. But I do
Mhm.
think that there were three games that, regardless of what the result was worthy of being like headliner games in the Prem. And that was the Aston Villa, Liverpool, the Arsenal, Chelsea, and the Brighton versus City. All produced talkable points for their own reasons. But we can start with the Arsenal versus Chelsea. You didn't get to watch it. What was your overriding view from what did you see?
Um, Only got to watch the first half. I thought the first half was a okay game entertainment wise. Tactically, though, it was a nice game to watch. Uh, Arsenal's defense, very difficult for any team to penetrate. It's difficult to even just make chances. I find at least against
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal, it's very well coordinated. I noticed Arsenal decided to build a bit. Okay, I don't want to dive too deep into it, right? But I'll just say this and leave it alone. I noticed Arsenal changed their build up, like tweeted a little bit today.
Mm-hmm.
This is about the highest I've ever seen the fullbacks, like sorry, not highest. It's about the widest I've ever seen the fullbacks go in build up. Rice and Timber were really high and wide today, almost looking like natural fullbacks in build up, in the build up phase. Higher than usual, sometimes on the halfway line, sometimes beyond that. One or two times I saw success where Arsenal were able to combine to the middle to release Rice. I didn't really see it on Timber's side. I guess he has a tendency to kind of drift towards the middle still, which I guess is fine. He's right footed and
Mm-hmm.
all. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. This is also one of the few times too that I've seen a team, because we know Arsenal like to build sometimes with three at the back, sometimes with four. Right. This
Mm-hmm.
is maybe the first time I think I've seen a team. Typically, you'd see a number six split the centre backs. I saw both number sixes split in the centre backs today. Sometimes Rice and Partey would make
Mm-hmm.
like a back line of four in build up, which I think is highly unnecessary. Not really sure why that happened. It could have been miscommunication, but I saw it a couple of times. I don't think it was part of the plan because
Mm-hmm.
no coach wants to build with a flat four. That makes absolutely no sense, in my opinion, at least.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I saw it a couple of times, so I thought that was interesting. But yeah, overall, first half, that's what I noticed. That's what I picked up on. I didn't really see much um from Chelsea's side to really excite me tactically, at least. But Palmer is always interesting to watch. So typically when Chelsea are on the ball, I kind of just watch what Palmer is doing. And I thought he was kind of hot and cold in the first half. He had one
Mm-hmm.
strike that I think on a different day scores. Great save though.
That was real early on. Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 minutes. And
Um.
yeah, I guess that's about it. I'll cut it there.
Well, that actually is one of the talking points today, so we can get straight into it, right? You know, this is the fourth time that Chelsea has played one of the nominal big six teams. The only one still to play is Spurs, and then obviously they have like the Villas to play, right? Cole Palmer is yet to get any sort of return against these big sides. A few weeks ago, when he scored the four versus Brighton, and obviously as we saw this week at Brighton on no scrub side,
Yeah.
um, Brandon was proposing that he is the best player in the league, or at least one of the best players. Is it that maybe that is jumping the curve a little too far to have him as the best player in the league? Because with the best players in the league, we still expect them to make impacts, even if it's not every single game, but at least in one of these games. I know that there was some strong performances along those lines, but that's 4 games with no kind of tangible impact. Is it
Mhm.
that is the next level for him to go to in order for him to be in the conversation of best player in the league?
I think yes. To just summarize the answer, yes. You need to put up consistent numbers these days to be considered as the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
Premier League player, because that's what the best Premier League player has been doing. Just putting up consistent numbers. So it's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think though that as Chelsea improves, it will be synonymous with Palmer's consistency improvement in terms of numbers. Because I actually think he has good games on the days that he does
Mm-hmm.
score. And I said, I think he's really clever and really creative, and
Mm-hmm.
you better man mark him, because if you
Yeah, yeah,
don't,
yeah, for
then
sure.
it'll be a problem. So yeah, I guess it's a tricky one. But I think that as Chelsea continue to improve, I mean, they've only had what 3 months with this manager, and they're looking pretty good so
Yeah.
far. As they continue to improve, I guess his numbers should become a bit more consistent. But if someone told me that Palmer is the best player in the league right now, I would hear it. I wouldn't agree, but I'd hear the argument for
Mm-hmm.
sure, because he is definitely highly talented and could explode at any moment. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I think somebody who for me was exciting, and like I was even feeling this before he scored, was actually Pedro Neto. And
Hmm.
well, obviously you know that my brother's a Chelsea fan, so we was watching the game together. And like for the entire game, he was like highly frustrated with Modric, not Modric, sorry, with Madueke, and like he was really asking for somebody to come on, let Neto go on the right side, because I actually did think like even on the left, Neto was providing a threat. Like he had a really, really good cross in the first half where he picked up Gusto on the back post, where he sized up Ben White really, really well until he made the space then to get it crossed. And I thought that was really
Hmm.
well. And I thought like he had a really, really exciting game from him that was culminated in the goal. And to be honest, outside of him, I didn't really feel like there was any real attacking spark beyond the first 10 minutes from anybody from Chelsea. Like everything felt like it came from him in the few times that they threatened. I don't know if
Hmm.
you felt the same way about him in that way.
Yeah, I think yeah, first half again is all I watched, but I think yeah, Neto is probably the most impactful during the first half for Chelsea. Sometimes I wish Jackson could just release the ball a little faster too.
Yeah, boy.
I
Yeah.
find he have a tendency to go head down when he receives the ball, and then look up and assess the options, and sometimes that just stalls things. But anyway, that's so beside the point. Yeah, I agree
Sure.
that I think Neto was about the brightest spark.
And the thing
In
is,
first half.
when he scored, like I'm being very honest, I didn't think they was gonna score today. Like to be fair, I did think the way that this game was progressing, it was gonna be 0-0. I
Hmm.
That is kind of where I felt like it was going. Obviously, Arsenal scored a really nice one from Odegaard, and we'll get to them after. But when Neto scored, to me, like, well, obviously it was from a little far out. It was out or nothing, and it really would have taken somebody to have that little bit of ingenuity to get them back into the game. And I think it is very much notable to have him in the spotlight for that. You know,
Mm.
um, Another player from Chelsea I wanted to highlight again before we go more Arsenal centric. I thought Fofana was really good today. Like I thought like he was really, really, really strong. He had a chance to score the
Mhm.
second half too. That kind of hit his shin and went over. But
Mhm.
I thought he had a really strong performance today. Like I was really impressed by him. And I thought Caicedo was pretty good in the first half. I
Mm.
didn't find he was that dominant in the second half. But on Arsenal now, the most notable thing going into this game was the fact that Martin Odegaard was returning. You
Mhm.
know, and honestly, I didn't even think that he had his best game. Like, I thought he was good, but like like players who was out for 11 weeks because that's how long it has been since his last game, right? That it would take time for him to get back warm, to get back in the rhythm, get match fit. There's one thing to be fit, but then match fit as well, right? But I think you see that bit of ingenuity that Arsenal was missing in the moment for the goal. You know,
Mm.
that ability to play with, like, you ever hear like the expression, play within a shoebox, like
Mhm.
that, keep the ball, avoid those little touches that people are trying to nick the ball off here. and an inch perfect cross to the Martinelli running onside,
Mm.
and a great finish by Martinelli in the end to go near post and catch. I think he catch keeper off guard. I know I was expecting him to try to pass it to Saka right there, and
Mm.
he would have scored, right? But the thing I wanted to really mention, Patson, I'll stop rambling here. You can cover it here. Is I think Odegaard impact today is more than just like it reminded me, like sometimes you're starving for something and you didn't know what it was, but then when you get it, you realize why you was missing so much.
Yeah.
And I think like his I don't want to say aura, but I'll go with aura. His aura on the field when he plays for us, because I think that he is a leader in more ways than just when he captain that man. I think that he leads, he press so well. He commands the team so well. Like I thought today, and I compared it to the last few games without him, and especially in this run here that we've been winless. Like I don't think our press has been as good. I don't think we've been as compact as we should have been. I don't think that we also had the bravery too. And I think that he brought back all that, because, I always say this about KDB that, when he comes back for City, you see a difference in City now because they trust him. They trust his
Mm.
impact. They trust his ability to, okay, well, you know what? We have him. We can get this done. And I felt
Yeah.
like, Odegaard came back, added some of that, and he played 95 minutes today and he almost produced even the winning moment too by slipping in Saliba. And if Trossard didn't get a touch on that, Havertz was waiting for empty that to the back there, which was like, oh my
Mm.
goodness, why? But yeah, what you thought about Odegaard? What I say about Odegaard just now and him returning?
Yeah, it's huge for Arsenal him coming back. Especially because without him, there's no really creative midfielder. Uh,
Correct, yeah, yeah,
he actually does like a lot of the creation, not just in terms of midfield, but just in general.
yeah,
He's responsible for a lot of chance creation. So yeah, man. I also, as I said, he might not necessarily lead the press, but he's super important in the press, and pressing is a large part of Arsenal's
mm-hmm.
off ball structure or ideas, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so yeah, man. Nah, I think Odegaard coming back is going to be massive for Arsenal. Hopefully he stays fit. Hopefully Saka stays fit, and anyone
Yeah,
else I believe could get injured because I think those are the guys. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, should be really positive for Arsenal now that he's back. He have 2 weeks to rest and recuperate from this game, and then
yeah.
we'll see what
I
happens now.
mean, coming out of this game, honestly, I'll be very surprised if I know Odegaard doesn't go in. Excuse me, I'll be very surprised if Kai, Saka,
Yeah.
Rice go off on international duty. They all came over injuries. I mean, Kai head literally was bleeding again,
Hmm.
you know. Um and yeah, I'll really be surprised if they go off on international duty. I also thought that I want to go big picture with Arsenal from here. I mean, I guess we could do some big picture with Chelsea, but
Hmm.
I really feel like there's much to it. I think Chelsea kind of are where we expect them to be. They're very
Okay.
much in the top four race. If you
Yeah.
feel differently, you could say so. But I feel like they're very much in control of the top four race, and they still seem to me like the leading candidate to beat our fourth side between them and Villa, to beat
Hmm.
our fourth side. But yeah, I was going to say that I thought that this was one of Saliba's best games since the international break. Like I think it has been really weird for him since the last international break and has resulted in him being still good, but not the level that we see Saliba set in the league,
Hmm.
since he come in. And, we don't, when we analyze games, we don't often take into account like the psychological aspect of things. And like, I remember coming off the last international break, the French news were really getting on him for some mistakes that happened during the international break. And I think he really come back and his head wasn't in the right place. And then he get a red card against Bournemouth. And like all
Hmm.
that played him. But like I thought like he had a really, really good game today. I thought even Raya had a good game today as well, claiming
Hmm.
crosses and stuff like that. And Martinelli scored. I think he Martinelli gets unfairly criticized sometimes. But at the same time, I do think criticism is fair of the sense that, like, I don't ever want to compare somebody to Salah because it's Salah and he is all timer. And
Hmm.
compare anybody to him unless they're on their own path to be an all timer is harsh, right? But I think like a lot of times Martinelli becomes under fire because because of his traits, he would end up being the one that gets into the moments where could make the difference in the game, and it might just be that one chance. And yeah, as a team, ideally you should be making 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 chances a game, but that's not how all games go. And sometimes you need to be able to take those one chance to break the game open. And I think a lot of times it has happened that it has fallen to Martinelli in the past, where it was Bayern away, Atalanta away, a few weeks ago at Bournemouth even. But it fell to him today, and he was decisive.
Mhm.
And I think that he struggled a bit in the first half against Gusto, but I think in the second half, he really came into himself a little bit more. Yeah, do you have anything you want to add on that? If not, we'll go into like, more big picture stuff.
It's funny that I bring up Martinelli because I remember watching the first half and I was really thinking like, yeah, Arsenal might have glossed over this position um
Mm,
during
I
the
think
summer.
that's very
And
fair. I think that's fair.
yeah, because like looking back on it, I feel like I watch how Liverpool got Chiesa and I'm thinking maybe Arsenal could have get him. Or maybe Arsenal could have tried for Gordon or somebody that because I don't think Martinelli is a good enough finisher to play in this system
Mm-hmm.
because you need essentially somebody who's not going to see the ball as much as a typical winger would because we
Mm-hmm.
know the ball going to be on Saka and Odegaard's side way
Mm-hmm.
more than it's going to be on Martinelli's side. So you need somebody that could essentially be a low touch, high impact player. I don't think that's him at all. He might even benefit from a move away from Arsenal where he could
Mm-hmm.
just enjoy the ball some more, as most Brazilians want to. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um, that was my take on it. A bit more negative to yours, I guess. I don't think that he should stay at Arsenal. You do. I don't think Arsenal should
No, no,
put
no.
any eggs in
Actually,
that
to be
basket.
fair, I think that the club plan was to try and go and get somebody else this summer. I don't know if you saw this, but Arsenal's sporting director left, and he's going to Nottingham Forest now to
Okay.
take over the whole football project, right? And a lot of news is coming out. And one of those
Right.
things is that in the summer, the board insisted on a sell first policy because like, it had too much windows where we weren't selling enough players. And so
Okay.
I think that ended up pushing back a lot of business because I think like for the whole summer we were heavily linked to Nico Williams and that we had the money, we was ready to pay the release clause. It was a case of actually just doing it. I think by the time that we actually generated enough sales to do it, Nico Williams already make up his mind. It was too late. He wanted to stay
Mhm.
Bilbao and that kind of stuff, right? And I totally agree with the criticism. I think he has shown the ability to finish at a high rate. You know, he scored 15 goals in one season, not last season, but season before. And I do think that last season was a bit down for him, but I have seen that littleness to him. I just think he needs to. I think a lot of it for where I stand is mental with him. You know, I
Mhm.
think that like when he goes these long stretches where he's not dribbling past his player or he's not getting the end product right, he gets in his own head and overthinks it. Whereas when he flows, man, I think that he scores off of both feet really well and becomes a really good threat in the box where he could take 2, 3 touches to get all his feet and bang and finish. And I've seen that. I've seen that over stretches of the game, and it's about if you can't get him back to that level. But I do think that in that sense, that this season ends up being make or break for him. You know, whether or not that whatever he stays or goes down to him taking up like Trossard's spot in the team as like the super sub, and then we're bringing somebody like that. I don't think that criticism is unfair by any means. You know, and I know a lot of
Mhm.
other Arsenal fans are frustrated with him, and I understand going into the window, the season. Sorry, we trust him to be the number one. I think that he had enough proven level across a whole season to warrant it. But we head into November, and as we talk more big picture with Arsenal, we're gonna talk about that we need to see more goals, we need to see more points, and with that comes players like Martinelli being in the four. Because we see Saka
Mhm.
performing whole season. You know, we see that Odegaard wasn't there. I think that Havertz is gonna come under criticism for the lack of output over the last few weeks. And while I think that the Liverpool game, he could have finished better in that game. I think outside of that, like because he's had to be playing these double roles of having to play centre mid and then try to get up to play strike, he's been running the ground a little bit. But bigger picture, are you worried about Arsenal season?
Um, yes, because
Me
I
too.
guess you,
We in
yeah,
sync.
yeah. I guess we'll touch on Liverpool later, but
Yeah.
I am worried because I thought Arsenal were going to win the league, so
Hmm.
I'm worried that they
Me
don't
too.
do that now. So on a technical standpoint, I'm worried that I was wrong. We'll have to see. Season's still young, only 10 games played,
Yeah.
so we'll have to
I mean,
see.
as we could see, every 5 games the table is changed real while. We never know when it
Uh-huh.
might sit in 5 games. Yeah. But 9 points is a big up. 9 points is a big gap.
It's just so frustrating because City really let the title not slip it, but they left the
It
title open so far.
seems like the slipping,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Before Pep
they've left it
reinvent the wheel in
open.
January when he buy
Exactly.
God knows who and then
Whoever.
reinvents the wheel and we go again.
Hmm. It would have been. I think Arsenal really missed an
Ideal.
opportunity. Uh, yeah,
Do you think it's entirely on their performances?
Arsenal.
Yeah.
If it's entirely on their performances,
Or would you say it's entirely on factors that were in their control?
I mean, I'm trying to be that guy, but
No, you
yeah,
can say yes. You can say yes. Yeah.
they playing the games. It could only be their performances that
Mm-hmm.
caused them to lose. The 11 players that play on the day, it's all their fault
Sometimes
basically.
10, to be fair.
Sometimes 10. Well, then the 11 that started, it
Yeah.
is it is their fault for sure. 100%, though. It's been too many games where it wasn't like a one-off game where they lose and you could say like, oh, had that referee called the foul in the lead up to the goal that we conceded, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. I could hear that, but it's like maybe 4 games now that they all have drop points, and I think
It is 4 games
that
that we
takes
drop
referees
points.
out the equation. I personally think so. I think it's on the
Mm-hmm.
players. Yeah.
Where I do agree with that. I think for me, I think City is like a good parallel in the sense that, when your core is disrupted or core of what you're trying to do is disrupted, it eventually plays out on the field. And I think like if you actually watch the way that Arsenal form has progressed over the season, and
Mm,
then you watch like how City's form progress, you see it where like you see them get by and they get wins, but it's not really that convincing. But because
mm,
they are of that caliber, you're right off that they game by when they're going through stuff, right? And I know these last few weeks Arsenal started to slowly get back some players and stuff, but I think that as we saw today, a half fit Odegaard had such a big impact. How much he has been a miss, and not just him, but obviously playing 2 games, whole halves red cards, another one with 70 minutes red cards, and the one miss that I think that has been very underrated so far this season is I remember before the last international break, I said that the thing that I had loved about the way that Arsenal was trying to make up for Odegaard missing in the aggregate was using the fullbacks to be a lot more adventurous, to be able to be more creative, to be more um, front-footed in the way that they do things, and be able to disrupt settled teams with their movement, with their ability to create. I remember we came out of the Leicester PSG Southampton block where Calafiori and Timber was topping creative stats and stuff like that. And the fact that they came on the side, I think that over these last 5 games here, I don't think that we've played well.
mhm.
But I can't see that between Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle, and Chelsea, that any team outperformed us. That doesn't mean you deserve to win. That is not what I'm saying. But to say that that we were so deserved to lose that we get beat down, and I think that you saw what we lost in the team. These games we wasn't conceding like 3 goals, but scoring two, and we can't outscore the team or something like that, right? We lost creativity in the team, being able to disrupt teams and create goals. That is what to me became highlighted over this the last portion of this international break to now, right? Where we only scored 3 goals in 4 games in the league. One was a set piece against Liverpool. The other was a Saka won the goal. And then the goal we score here where Odegaard come back and help us scores it. You know, I think that we lost a lot of creativity in the team. And it started to catch up where, you know, Saka couldn't be the one only doing it, and then these other players fell out of form. But the reality is that we didn't cope with those well. Just like how right now City have issues in the defense, and City have not kept a clean sheet since Southampton, and that was their only clean sheet since the beginning of the beginning of the season. And we've seen that they're suffering for it as well. And I think that you could see in both teams where missing persons, whether it be injuries or suspensions, whatever it is, ultimately at this high level, it starts to tell. It starts to tell, especially when you're playing the better teams. I mean, you and I both watched the Brighton versus City game on Saturday, and let's be honest, right? If it was probably Leicester or Ipswich or Crystal Palace or something, City get through. They'll get by, But they play Brighton, one of the best attacking teams in the league. They played Bournemouth last week, one of the best pressing teams in the league. And against, when you're playing those level of teams, for us, we played Chelsea, Newcastle, Liverpool, and Bournemouth. Those teams will make you pay. Now, I am not making excuses. I'm just providing reasons as to why those drop points happen. But I'm also worried because I also had us winning the league. And now I think 9 points is a big gap, but it's a huge gap. Now, if it's one thing, the two things that is giving me a bit of hope. But where I stand right now, honestly, Liverpool win the league. That's kind of where I am. I can't see where the fall comes from. And even if it do, I go back to this all the time that Liverpool have, in my opinion, 4 all-time Premier League players in their team. One who's injured right now, and they're not even seeing him, missing him in Alisson. They have Trent, they have Virgil, they have Salah, and then Robertson even having a bit of a renaissance because I thought he had a real good game this weekend as well. And so they could always fall back on that, to help them get by. But the two things that give him a bit of hope is that this team showed last year that they are capable of going 6 months on win runs. When Arsenal went from last year against Crystal Palace all the way down to the end with only 1 draw and 1 loss. So they show that they are capable of winning along big stretches. The other thing is that I am hoping to see a bit of a chink in the armor for Liverpool, but I think that's unlikely. Where I sit right now is hoping that we somehow close our gap to 6 points between now and the 3 points between now and May, whatever it is when we go to Anfield. And at least with that 3-point gap with us going to Anfield, we control our own destiny. And see what's what then. But again, that takes a lot of work from the team. And I think the biggest thing that we need to do is just get back men fit. Just get, even I'm watching these games here, and I can understand if non-Arsenal people don't see this. But I know a lot of these players are playing and they aren't close to being fully fit. I see Ben White being reluctant to overlap because I know that he's not that fit. I know Partey, when he playing right back, he definitely not overlapping. And them kind of things. So, do you have any hope of Arsenal recovering for this title? Or if it's a case of you have some, what's the percentage?
The percentage that Arsenal's win the title, I think, is 10%. I think that's fair. 1 in 10 times.
That real high. Mine was going to be 5.
Yeah. I think 10 is fair. Because it's going to be real difficult for anyone right now to displace Liverpool. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's only one team I think could really do it.
Correct. And I know, yeah.
Hey,
you want me to hit it with 2 more pieces of copium too that I now remember. One is that at this point last season, Tottenham had the exact same start under Ange Postecoglou. We also how that ended up. I don't think that's how it's going to end up for Tottenham, for Liverpool. I don't. That one was just by the way. The other thing is that I think that there is actually some parallels with last season in terms of at this point last season, I think Arsenal were also then having questions on being able to score enough goals. Are they able to accumulate points at a high enough rate? And they fixed that in the second half of last season. And I think that we could see some of that with Arsenal. And also, I think with Liverpool last year, their key players weren't able to sustain being the pillars for the team all the way down to the end. And
a club, a madman.
True. Agreed. That's fair.
Liverpool are playing some real sustainable stuff right now.
Yeah.
Physically sustainable as well because
Yeah,
they
I
go
think
one
that
zero
is
up
the biggest
and they
change.
just start moving the ball. No one's really running and pressing like wild horses anymore. Uh, it's the reason I think it's so difficult for Arsenal is because they haven't really showed me yet
Mhm.
that they could come from a disadvantageous position on the table and still win the league. Obviously, they haven't shown
Fair,
that
yeah,
yet
yeah,
because they
yeah,
haven't
that's
won the
fair.
league yet. And until they do that,
Yeah, they don't
it's hard
warrant
to
any
believe
faith
in
though.
them.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's
That's
hard to
completely
believe in them,
fair.
especially
Yeah.
since they're going up against a team that's probably done it about 6 times already. Come from a spot where people say, "All right, this is the one. Pep can't do it this time, surely
Yeah, yeah,
not,"
yeah. No, no, for
and then they
sure.
just find a way. So it's like, if I had to bet on someone taking it from Liverpool, it would have to be City because they've done it about 5, 6, 7 times already.
No,
Um,
why? Well, let me say it like this then. This is probably the best I could say it as to where I am at right now. I don't think Arsenal are in a place right now to talk about the title. As of where I stand right now as a fan, I
mhm.
do not think it is realistic. I think it would take some kind of miracle. God forbid somebody get injured or something for Liverpool or something, somebody key or something like that.
Something like
But
that.
I am not wishing that on nobody. The last thing I would
Mhm.
do. But I think the only thing Arsenal can do is focus on themselves. Focus on getting that Forest game, get 3 points there. What happened to you?
No, because I know after the call, you're going to tell me about Salah should break his leg and Van
Why
Dijk should
would dog? I
get
have
AIDS
never
very
done.
soon.
Hey, hey, I have never
That's
done that. I will never do that either. Now, if Virgil decided in January he wants to go and take over from Militao with Real Madrid, well, you know what, boy? Adios. I will come pick you up at the airport, my brother. I will
uh-huh.
take you. I will help you. In fact, my good friend here, girlfriend, spent 2 years in Spain. I could find all the hotspots for him, help him
Correct.
settle down
Correct.
everything. If
Exactly.
he
He
was,
will get settled.
he get that show, dog. He get
Yeah.
a personal. I will quit my job
Mm.
and be a personal show for him. That is no
All
problem.
of that for Yamal to cook him. That's insane. All that to get cooked by
Dog,
a
imagine Militao
teenager.
take his 2 ACLs at 25 now. That's
Yeah, that's out of it.
crazy.
That is insane. Yeah,
But
well, he's.
but yeah, that's where I am. It would take extenuating circumstances,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's just Liverpool you're talking about, right? That is without taking into account how City recovers. Even amongst like all the defensive frailties, which we'll talk about when we get into these teams. I think that I genuinely mean this. That once KDB is back, they will score enough to overlook any defensive frailties.
But
I
if
just
KDB back or even if Foden catch form, because we
yeah.
saw what he did last season. Foden alone
Yeah.
was enough to win the title last season. So
Well,
yeah, boy.
where I stood last year though, and I said this is not me saying this now. I said this at the end of last season too. Is that to me where the title change was when KDB come back last year, and you see that Newcastle game where they was losing,
Yeah,
and he turned that around. Then I think that there was so many big moments in the second half of the season that we saw them drop points in the first half of the season. That
yeah,
KDB was he want to just stamp his name on it again, dog. Whether it was they was drawing, they was losing at Newcastle, or they was drawing at Nottingham Forest, or they was drawing at Spurs, or they was losing at Crystal Palace late last year. And all of them was the hard circumstances that KDB just was like, don't worry.
mhm,
And step up his show his class. That's not taken away from the fact that Foden had a player of the year candidate season though. Like that's not what it is. But I
yeah,
think like the difference in the first and the second half of the season was we saw them drop silly points in the first half of the season real often. To me, the
mhm.
difference was when KDB come back and that undefeated run start.
Yeah.
And they just smash us. And I think again, this is more gassing KDB than taking out anything from anybody else.
Mhm.
Is the same thing I said with Odegaard, how it is for them with Arsenal. I just see when KDB steps on the field for City, but there is a aura to him, dog, that it just empowers everybody else on the team to be better.
Fair enough. Fair
You
enough.
know,
I,
and
I, I
I
hear
guess
that.
and I guess we could go into City one time. We were both on a call while the game was going on, so we got to
Yeah.
talk while the game was going on. So we came off injured, which was kind of sad. But
Mhm.
what it allowed was for Believer to come on, and oh my goodness, did he shift the momentum of the game?
It's
You
class.
know, I don't think. I think like the last like 10 minutes of the Brighton game that Brighton actually started to create some chances, but it was mostly City in the first half. Haaland
Yeah.
could have a hat trick, but we should have had a hat trick. My fantasy would have liked the hat trick.
Yeah.
We didn't get no hat trick. We didn't get no hat trick. But
Haaland is disappointing.
well, let me let you go ahead now. We talk about the game, and then you can talk about how you feel about Haaland right now. We also talk about something very specific with Haaland yesterday. I'm not sure if you're ready to say that on a public platform yet, but if you are, feel free. With the whole technical level thing.
Oh, yeah. I don't mind sharing my opinion on that. But yeah, so the game itself was exciting from a neutral perspective. Especially in the second half, it got a lot more end to end. I mean, even in the first half, it was I wouldn't call it end to end, but Brighton had chances in the first half still. So yeah,
Mhm.
um, no, it was a real pleasing game to watch because like there are a couple of players on the field that you'll just always enjoy watching. I think Savio, always looks good. Mitoma was cooking
Oh,
yesterday, but Labor came on and looked really good. So
by Savio for the start of the season. Like I know that his
yeah,
is not that high, but I could see like the trajectory for him to
hmm
eventually come like Mara's level of consistency on the Pep.
yeah, and yeah, overall, Kovacic was real good to watch on the day too. He had a real
Mm-hmm.
good game. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. Tactics wise, nothing really new from City that I noticed, and nothing really new from Brighton either. I would say so. That was about
I
it.
thought I thought especially in the first hour, I thought City highline was exceptional. I thought it was really
Yeah,
good at keeping the field compressed and stopping Brighton from getting chances. But over these last few weeks, Patrick, we've seen that a frailty has been added to the City back line. Southampton is the only team since the start of the season that hasn't found
yeah,
a way to take advantage, and it's Southampton, right? Like go figure.
yeah.
But it has been coming, and this is now 40 feet in a row under Pep. The first time that it has happened, actually since Bayern, where he had a stretch there where unfortunately he was put in his sword by I don't know if you know this team called Barca. They beat
Ah,
him 3-0, and that was amongst a 4-0 loss run. And I don't know if you know the game I'm talking about. It had this fella named Messi, and he sit on Boateng. I ended up being
mhm.
that meme for a while. I don't know if you know the goal I'm
Yeah.
talking about. You know the goal I'm talking
I
about?
don't. I
You
don't.
don't. All right, I'll link
Nah,
it for you after. I'll link it for you.
appreciate
But, but yeah, and so this is uncharted territory. And the thing is like, I think that it. I said this last year, and I say this right through about football is like things only matter depending on what happened in the end. You know,
kind of. Yeah.
like we don't care about all this. Like we would not care about all this if come 2 weeks from now when the international break is over. Thankfully, the last one until next year March.
Oh yeah.
Pep decided to reinvent the wheel. He turns what's his man name Simpson Pussy into the next Rodri, puts him
Mm-hmm.
in midfield, changes the formation to 4-1-2-1-3 something. So I don't know. I feel like I
Something.
called more than 10 numbers just now, but like we don't know, right? But like depending on if it comes out in the end, is if it really matters. I think like even last year we saw some frailty from City in their back line, but it didn't matter ultimately in the end because Rodri does just do a lot to try and stop some of that. But this has been happening now,
hmm
and unless Haaland performs at his unworthy level, it, I can't see the stop from my eyes, not Pep Guardiola's eyes. From my eyes, I can't see how this stops between now and January unless he signs somebody there. Tell me
Yeah.
if you think differently.
Um. No. It's about in terms of the defense.
The defense here.
Yeah. I think it's going to be hard. You know, to actually that's a lie. He could if he wanted to, but it would just require changing the whole system. 'Cause I think in like go back five
Yeah.
and then yeah, but I don't think he's ever going to do that. So given what we know about Pep, what we expect at least, I think I don't expect to see this huge defensive overhaul between now and January. Um, Also wouldn't be surprised if they don't even sign anyone in January. By the way, I
Yeah,
think
me
I think the
too.
answer
Me
kind of
too.
relies in sorry, I think the answer kind of lies in Stones and Diaz being fit for every game
Yeah,
this
yeah.
season. That needs to
Which
happen.
was,
Stones need to
bro.
play in the midfield next to
Mm-hmm.
what's his face,
Kovacic.
and
Yeah.
then Diaz just needs to play every game.
No, and
Yeah.
that literally was going to be my next point about this is what I'm talking about. That even for the best teams in the world, that if in one facet of your game your most critical players are missing, you will
Mhm.
suffer in that area. And yeah, they lost Rodri, and then on top of that, losing Rodri, they lost what is one of the best centre backs and one of the best centre backs to step in the midfield. And now
Mhm.
we see what's going on in the back line, and the defense is suffering. And so again, this is not wishing nothing on Liverpool or anything, but Liverpool have relatively had the same skeleton of the team. I think the only like real moving part has been like if one of Jota or Nunes starting, if one of
Yeah.
Gakpo or Diaz
Diaz.
is starting, and that has all been form based. That has not been fitness based.
Yeah.
Actually, like Jota has been fitness based, but has been form based. And then Joe is coming in for
Szoboszlai.
Szoboszlai.
Yeah.
But that has been it, and has relatively a lot of stable team. Whereas we see what going on with Pep and with Arteta, that they've had unstable teams and they are dropping points. They both have one win in the last 6 games, Patrick. These are the two
Yeah.
teams that come first and second last year.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a very tough one. I think this is it. I don't know how Pep coaches himself out of this one,
Yeah,
because too many players are injured right now. In
yeah.
in the same like too many defenders. Rodri is obviously not coming back this season. It's very difficult, I think, to to put something out that could be watertight defensively. Obviously, I think the answer lies in Haaland could just score more. That would
Yeah.
be amazing.
Which is where I was
Um,
going to ask you if you're willing to go there in terms of what we was talking about in terms of the variance and his technical level of varying the output levels.
right. No, I'm trying to remember exactly what I said, because I kind of don't remember what I said.
I don't
But
want to
it
put
was.
words in your mouth though. That is the only thing.
You can go ahead.
We
What
was
what do
basically
you
talking
gather from
about,
what I said?
we was talking about the best goal scorers in the world.
Right, right.
We were saying that, but that my position is that I think Haaland is the best goal scorer in the world. Like
I
his
remember what I said. Okay, right.
But compared to like Kane and Salah, we don't see those kinds of players missing the chances that he missed. And you were saying that was founded in his technical level.
Right. I think yes, and then another thing that I said too, it was I think you had asked me if basically if Haaland needs to have a game breaking season to be considered the best player in the world now. I think that is where that and that's why I said that unless he scores like record breaking numbers, I find it very difficult to consider him as the best player in the world because he is so technically deficient, you know?
Compared to
Ye-
other high goal scorers.
Compared to other players. I know center
Yeah.
backs that have more tech than this guy. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, and that's not a thing on center backs. That's just typically you don't expect center backs to be less technically gifted than the forward.
And the best
So,
striker in the world. Well, arguably the best striker in the world.
right. So, yeah, it was more relying on like him as the best player in the world. I think the season when he came to City, like his first season at City, the numbers that he put up were game breaking, and the types of goals that he scored were extraordinary. And yeah, I think he was the best player in the world at that time.
Mm-hmm.
However, that is what it takes for him to be considered the best in the world
Yeah.
because if he's not breaking records every season, and let's be real, that's impossible, right? If he's not breaking records every season, then someone else will always stand out above him because how much he lacks technically. Like
Mm-hmm.
with the ball at his feet, I mean, he's a horrible dribbler. He's
You
not
remember he
creative.
playing across for somebody and we were surprised that it
Yeah,
worked.
yeah, but he's not a creative player. He doesn't really touch. Like He's never going to be involved in build up.
Yeah.
He's really just there to score. Like
Yeah.
that's all he does. You're not
And we
going to
saw
see
the
him
pros and
dribbling.
cons of it this weekend, right? Where like
Mhm.
he got the chances. He could have put him clear in this game, and he didn't. And then now when the tide turn, he can't really help them like stem the
He can't.
bleeding, you know.
If he's not scoring, it's almost like he can't help City. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
games where he has, but it's so like one off. Versus a player like, I don't know, if you compare him to, let's just compare him to Mbappe real quick then.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Mbappe is on it, obviously he's not right now, but Mbappe, yes, his game has been surrounded by goals. He understands how to create chances as well, though. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, he is
Yeah,
a
for sure.
quote unquote lazy player, right? But I've seen for France him be heavily involved in build up, right? I wouldn't pretend like I watch PSG a whole lot, right? So all I've
Yeah.
seen for PSG is in Champions League. And he was involved in build up in the bigger games. I watch him very involved in the build up against Barcelona. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um and then, bro, Mbappe just looks good. That is the main thing. Like he actually, with the ball at his feet, he looks threatening and is threatening. He could cook 3, 4 guys if he wanted to, and then score or slip someone else in if he wanted to. You will never see Haaland cooking somebody. Like never. You will
Yeah.
never see him, you know, rub the shoulder or shake somebody or fan somebody. You will just never see that. What you will see him is he will try to combine, give and go, get into the box, use his strength to shield off whoever, and score. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we're talking about the best players in the world right now. He is too
Yeah.
technically deficient to be considered the best player in the world unless he's putting up like 45 goals in the Prem. And I think
Yeah.
he'll
I
do that.
mean,
And
and
and yeah.
and again, like we saw the goals and comes over this weekend, right? As they lost, and I mean, City, if I'm not mistaken, are in one of their harder runs of fixtures currently because they play obviously Brighton this weekend. But I think even after this, that they had to play Liverpool
Spurs
pretty
or
soon.
some Spurs coming up too.
So they
And
have a
Spurs is
host
be tough for
first.
them.
Yeah. Dog, Spurs is most dog, there's nobody who does Spurs better than Spurs. Dog,
Yeah.
Spurs is the most Spurs team ever because dog, they will beat Villa forward. And they got lost
Mm-hmm.
them switching it.
Correct.
That is Spurs. And you know
And
what that is telling me why what the great Giorgio Chiellini say? It is the
ah,
history there. I want it better in your DNA. This cannot be removed, you know.
that's a fact.
But they host Spurs next. They go away to Liverpool after that. Then they host Nottingham Forest. Then they go away to Crystal Palace, who always tends to be a very tricky game for them. And then they actually host Man United, who at that point would be like 3, 4 games under Amarim, who we just saw put on a pretty good performance against them in the Champions League. And then after that, they go away to Aston Villa. So, and all this is amongst like Champions League and stuff like that, right? So, it is a pretty hard run. And it it is going to take some revenge on my Pep. You know,
Mm-hmm.
from my amateur eyes, I can't say exactly what it is. I think from where I stand, and you can tell me if you think differently before we move on to Liverpool. I just think he had to lean into the attack a little more than just try to outscore, just and be more clinical in the final third,
Think he's
and
trying.
kind
Can't
of
score the goals
yeah,
for
no,
Haaland,
no,
but
it's true,
yeah.
it's true. Um, I mean, we 11 games in, and you know you're right because I mean we 11 games in. There's Haaland. You want to guess who's the second highest scorer for City after Haaland?
I would guess Kovacic.
No,
Um, then I'm guessing. Ooh,
you're close though.
can't be Silva. So Nunes.
Nah,
Nunes, not Nunes. Uh
it's just in the prem though, eh? Just in the prem.
oh. Uh, uh hmm, I'm not sure. Closer to Kovacic. Who could it? Who could that
He
be?
have a perfect link to Kovacic.
Gvardiol? No
Yeah,
way.
Gvardiol is the second highest scorer. And I mean that then now puts the spotlight on Foden, on Silva, on
Gvardiol.
Savio,
He
on
have more goals
Doku.
than Kovacic? There's
And
no way.
yeah, I think he had 4 goals this season. If not, he joined up. If not, he
Oh,
joined with Kovacic on 3 then.
he have 4 goals?
Yeah. Um
Sorry, go ahead. I just gotta look this up real quick
no, but
then.
yeah, that just highlights the issue of what is going on with City right now. You know, the attackers just aren't doing enough.
This is
The
crazy.
attackers just aren't doing enough. So on the
The
other
attackers
hand,
aren't doing enough.
yeah, on the other hand, The attackers who are doing enough is Liverpool because they managed to. And what I think was a really tricky game. I think Aston Villa were in the game yesterday, but you know, Liverpool just exuded their class, bro. They just exuded their class, and even having men like Darwin be composed in front of goal, mind you, is the most Darwin thing ever for him to miss the easier one right after.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and so as we say before, I just can't. To me, this is Liverpool's title to lose now, and I think the difference compared with Arsenal is that they have pillars of this team that know what it means to win, know what it means to sustain form in a way across 20, 25 games that makes your competitors discouraged. You
Mhm.
know, they have Mane, Trent, Virgil, Alisson, Salah, all have been there. All are Premier League winners, all have done it, and yeah, that's kind of all I had to add to them right now. I think Villa deserves a goal. I think that some poor finishing on the day. You know when I think the momentum switch Patrick for them on the day, and you can tell me if you think differently. But
Mhm.
I think is when Jacob Ramsey come off. I think he was like a huge part as to why they had a good foot in the game. I thought he was really good at helping them come out the press. I think like he was really hard for the right sided midfielder and Trent to decide who had to pick him up and mark him and made him
Mhm.
get in some really good positions and had some poor finishes early, but had to come off real early. And I just think that while John McGinn is obviously a really good player, it's just not the same type of player, you
No,
know?
that's fair. I think that's some good analysis there. That is fair.
So Villa, on the other hand, also are winless. I guess, yeah, we should bring up Villa. Villa are winless. Villa and
Mhm.
City get knocked out of the cup last week. And are we seeing the wheels fall off a bit on Emery? Or just probably reverting then back to the mean then of where they probably would be?
I wouldn't say wheels fall off, but I think I said this. I don't know if I said it on the pod or just with
Mm,
you or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
I don't even know if I told you. I don't know who I told, but I said that I wouldn't be surprised, right? And this is why he's never been in my FPL so far. I wouldn't be surprised if Ollie Watkins had a bad season this season because that
Mm,
is typical of strikers under Emery. One
yes,
phenomenal season,
very
next
true.
one not so good.
Yeah, it's so
Um,
true.
yeah, I don't know how he does it. Like, I don't know how he does it to, like, I don't want to say revitalize because these guys have had good careers before he came, but I don't know how he does it to like energize his strikers in his first, full season. He did it
Mm.
with Orba at Arsenal. Orba's numbers were
He
phenomenal.
did
We
with
saw this
Gerard
Watkins
Moreno at
last time,
Villarreal.
and yes, thank you, and Gerard Moreno. All who of which, and I'll leave Watkins out the pot for now. But so far,
Yeah.
he looking like he in that pot. All who of which second season, like after the first season, going astronomical. Second season, I don't even want to say couldn't live up to it because obviously you're not gonna go back for back with
Yeah, yeah,
an
yeah.
astronomical season. But really fell off beyond expectations. I think Gerard Moreno's one was the worst. Orba's one was pretty bad as well, second season. And right now, Ollie Watkins is struggling to find goals. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not surprised. This is
Yeah.
I don't know the explanation. Like I don't
Hmm.
know how. Bro, some coaches are just really good with strikers, though. Ancelotti does
And I
the
mean,
same thing with
you know
strikers.
what's the
I don't
thing,
know
eh,
how they do
boy?
it.
I obviously lived the Emery experience, and I've been highly critical of him as a coach. But I think that this season, this Villa team, I think it's probably one of the best teams he's ever had. You know,
Mhm.
obviously there's a PSG side that is just great beyond imagine, right? For the reasons that we
Yeah,
all know. But I think like it was all built to play that the way that he needs them to, and the way that should maximize his players. I think this is it. You know,
hmm
I think like Paul Torres is such a cheat code for him in the back line. I think that,
yeah,
like, while Digne might not have the athleticism of Matson, I think that technically his fullbacks, well, actually, I think Cash probably,
yeah,
I think it's probably time for Cash to go. But
yeah.
I think like Digne at fullback is really good at helping them come out the pockets with the press. I think that
hmm
their wide midfielders do really well. I think Onan is probably one of the best midfielders he could have asked for to be
yeah.
somebody to clean up at the base of his midfield and you retail control.
hmm
Yet they win less in the last 4 games.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange.
And on top of being winless, Pats, they only have 2 goals in the last 4 games too.
See, but
And
their brand is hitting you on the counter and punishing you, and
no,
they've
and the
done
other thing I was
everything.
going to say though,
hmm
sorry, the other thing I was going to say though is that like I think like these are not just no performances. I think like these were some of the performances even early in this season. But Super Sub Duran and his own ability was coming on and masking a lot of what were losses and draws to turn them into draws and wins. And had
Yeah.
us at the end, this is a results business. So then now we turn our eyes from the problems that was probably there because they get marked by what was the amazing story of this wonder sub constantly scoring for them.
Yeah. No, yeah. I just feel like I was gonna say that their brand is hitting you on the counter and punishing you. And now they're doing it, but there's no punishment.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like they're trying to control games a little bit more, which is fair. Every team should strive for that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think they find it difficult, now that teams, one, identify them as a problem, and two,
Yeah.
are treating them as such. Because
Yeah.
teams now sit back against them. They get in the big they get in the big
The
team
big boy
treatment.
treatment. Yeah.
Yeah, people sitting back
Yeah.
and trying to hit you on the counter, and it
Yeah.
works because Emery has never really been big on defense, which is fine. The other
Um.
thing though is that I
Mhm.
feel like they are missing their pace in the team.
Yeah, boy.
Leon Bailey, I think, needs to play a bit more. Last season,
And play
Leon
a bit
Bailey
more
helped
higher,
them.
boy. You don't find
Yeah,
like he's starting real deep and
yeah. It looks like because Rogers has had this like emergence
yeah,
that
yeah.
Bailey been pushed back a little bit because last season it was either Bailey or Diaby in the Rogers position, and that's a lot of pace to hit you on the counter. And bro,
Mm-hmm.
Loki, I think that Bailey last season has been a lot more effective than Rogers has been this season.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey was a chance creation machine. I don't see that from Rogers. He's a good player
Yeah,
though,
it's true. Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. A tweak in the system is probably needed. You still had to go at 9?
It's 8 o'clock for me right now.
Oh, dog. Oh, you see what time difference is? What? Okay,
Uh-huh.
we still want speed through from here anyway. That's kind of where we're going to go with this. But hey,
Okay.
credit to Darwin for doing what he does. And
Uh-huh.
listen, I know like a lot of times that I've said this before. I think a lot of people said it's like Haaland, sickening Haaland, this, whatever, whatever. And he still is. I don't want to take like this weekend and like bring down Haaland. But what I'm about to say, dog, the true sickening man in this league, his name is Mohamed Salah, dog. Like,
Uh-huh.
and like, here's the truth, as a football fan, I think they deserve to win this league. I would say
Mhm.
that. Because I think somebody of Salah's caliber deserves to have a second league title. I
Yeah.
really do think that, right? Football is not deserving though. And hard
True.
luck. Gerard
Yeah.
still had no title and he deserved one.
Yeah.
Hard
Yeah.
luck. Right?
Yeah.
I would love nothing more for them to do what they do last season and go from being 5 points ahead of me to 7 points behind me.
Uh-huh.
Give me that 12-point swing again this season. I will more than take that, right? However, he is ridiculous. This man has scored 19 goals as his worst season in the Premier League, Patrick. I was
Mhm.
telling me if I am wrong, but outside of Solanke, Watkins, Son, Vardy, and Haaland, who else in this league could say that they scored 19 goals in their best season or more?
That's still in the league.
That's still in the league.
Anybody? Foden. Wait. No, how much he scored?
No. Palmer scored more. No,
Okay.
Foden scored, I think it was 11, 12 goals
No,
last season.
it couldn't be 12. That's too little bit. He
I
scored
think I
20, I
saw
think.
that he had 12 and 9 or something. I mean, I could check it, but either way,
It's all right.
it's not
Not
19.
19. Anybody?
You know?
A nice piece of trivia. Anyway, I don't know.
No, and you
19
understand
is
what
a
I'm
lot.
saying, right? Like
Yeah.
that is that man worst season. Foden, I am wrong. Foden had 19 goals last year. So
Okay,
19
fair
was
enough.
Foden best.
Yeah.
So that's Foden, Palmer, Solanke, who also had 19, Son,
Mm-hmm.
Watkins, Haaland.
Hold on.
So
Anybody?
only 6 men have had,
Yeah.
and 3 of them we call it had 19 goals as their best. So
Mm-hmm.
literally, their
Yeah.
best season is his worst.
I mean, 19 is a lot, Wait until the end of the season. We'll add Chris Wood to the list.
Fair
Uh-huh.
enough. But I mean, like,
Yeah,
I
nah,
think he's
it's insane.
exceptional, boy. And like, the funny thing, why like what is this season, last season, Liverpool and Arsenal have been in the same conversations in terms of title contenders, right? But like for a large part of Salah being in this league, it always has been he's been in a different conversation to where we were at. Just the reality of what it was. And boy, like I remember early we used to have conversations about him and like compare him to Mane, I think. But I think like as it's progressed for him, boy, I have admired him so much more, boy. And like I genuinely mean it when I say like part of the reason like I have so much respect for his Liverpool team is like I admire so many of their players. You know, I admire Virgil and Trent and Salah and I think it's amazing what he is, boy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I obviously saw the goal back after. I had to leave home about like the 68th, 70th minute yesterday.
Yeah.
But I was listening to it, right? And I was listening to the commentator as he going through on goal. And I kid you not, as the chance was coming in my head, I was like, yeah, that is just goal. That is just
Yeah.
goal. Because it's him, bro. He is him. He is the most himmiest him has had in this league since I know Aguero's all the thing, though. Like him and KDB, but like it's crazy, boy. I like as a football fan, not as an Arsenal fan. I would say that he does deserve a next league title.
Yeah. He is
And I
really
hope he
good.
does not get it. I hope he does not get it. I don't really think it have any point talking about United, really, actually, because good stuff on the road. They win.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Spurs is Spurs, which is
Yeah.
hilarious.
Different.
And the one thing I probably need to talk to you about is Alison Becker scored today. Is that his name? I don't even know if that's his name. Is that really his name?
Geraldo Becker.
Geraldo Becker, that is it. Geraldo Becker
Alisson
scored.
Becker.
Hey, it's not like we never see Alison Becker score before, eh? But
Nice.
Geraldo Becker scored. Did you get to watch the game?
I watched like up until minutes before he scored.
How was it
So
going? I didn't see the game.
that was going good. Barcelona has played some exciting stuff, man. I guess for whatever reason it didn't work out today. I'll probably watch the game back, but
Okay.
up to now I haven't seen.
I mean,
haven't
hey, Ole lost, Real won,
Mhm.
and you're still 6 points clear.
Should be okay.
Like, yeah, it is what it is, you know?
I think it'll be fine. Look, it's still expect growing pains. You know,
Yeah.
it's a brand new coach, brand new system.
You know, you
So
would
yeah,
think like with all the attacking football that you all play now, that you all be super exposed in the back, but like you all have the
not
third
really. Yeah,
best, you all have the fourth best defensive record in the league. That's pretty good.
yeah. It's good for Barcelona. Barcelona's never really been watertight at the back.
Yeah.
They just really rely on keeping the ball so much, but teams figured out how to
Yeah.
how to expose that. So yeah.
In other cleanups, Inter and Napoli drew at the top of the table, which resulted in Napoli staying on top of the table. I believe that, well, I said Real won, and Jude Bellingham finally scored, and he looks super relieved that he did score. Juve won yesterday. Leverkusen dropped points. Dortmund did the most Dortmund thing and lost. Bayern won this weekend. And yeah, I feel like it's better for us to just jump straight into UCL recap, if that's good of you.
Cool. Yeah.
Nice. So we'll start on Tuesday. Liverpool won 4-0. And just keep it in what has been a great. Hey, what was the interesting thing that game was? It was a little till late, actually, until like the 65th minute.
Yeah.
And Luis Diaz got a second half hat trick, his first senior hat trick, and it came while he was playing in strike. Most people saw the lineup, myself included. I thought it was actually Gakpo going and play through the middle, but it was actually Luis Diaz, and it resulted in him getting a hat trick. And he's slot boy.
Yeah.
Mastermind.
He's really looking like that guy right now.
PSV managed to go 4-0, and I'm trying to figure out if I have anything interesting here. Sturmgras was close to upset, but they conceded late to Dortmund. We go again. Lille held Juventus to a 1-all. Our real Leipzig has so much points so far, and they lost 3-1 to Celtic.
Surprising, Leipzig were decent last season.
Yeah, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, they were having a good campaign in Bundesliga. But the two that we need to talk about, Patrick, is
Mhm.
Sporting 4-1 versus City.
Oh
Where
yeah.
it started off looking like City was actually going to have a really good time. Foden scored a really good goal in like the third minute or something like that.
Hmm.
And they actually did have a good bit of chances, but the other Viking in this day
Yeah,
and
boy.
age made them pay. And Victor Gyökeres caught a hat trick, and Amorim with his best welcome card for United fans that hey, I am ready to compete against the big boys.
Hmm.
You know, yeah, anything to say for that game? That's twice City drop points now in the
Yeah.
Champions League.
Dog. It's like Haaland again though. He missed some big chances on the day. Missed that
Yeah,
penalty. Gyökeres obviously scored two penalties, but first goal was just
was
excellent
Haaland
number
S
nine
though?
play. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's some really good number nine play. And City is probably one of the best defenses to do that against because there's
yeah,
some
yeah,
weak
yeah,
boys in the back there now.
yeah.
Um,
I feel for the Simpson Pussy guy there because they twice I feel like
yeah, mash up.
like this is the thing with three young players in right like dog we might not never see this man play for City again after the season just because like
Maybe.
he might end up being out of his depth now. You know,
Yeah, but Pep is a look to put him up against the most informed striker in the world right now is
dog,
criminal.
and
The
he
most
joke
informed
he
striker in the world? Nah, but
yes
like one of
nah
them.
he is dog he has the most goals this
Lewandowski,
season.
Yeah, but Lewandowski looking real good too.
True,
So it's hard
but
to, yeah, it's
but
hard to tell.
and the thing is I can't Janaki this be on the bench so I don't really know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on either. Maybe he thought like, hey, these sporting men are really that serious. So I
Yeah,
don't know, dog. I don't know.
me
Maybe
either.
he needs to make challenges for himself.
You
I
know
really don't know what
who
it is.
well it could be that who should have taken the game more serious was Real Madrid 3-1 at
Yeah,
home
I
lost
so
to
glad.
AC Milan.
I so glad that
Just real
funny, right?
quickly, you see that fan him Reinders in the midfield. Oh, he is something. He is something really special.
I don't know if you saw the assist he got over the weekend.
I did.
Go and watch it. Okay,
I
yeah,
did. Yeah,
that was crazy.
great stuff. No, he's quality, but I really, really, really like him. But specifically this game, I think it was really poor. I mean, I know that says it in short, right? But like, I think AC deserve to win this game. I really think that they deserve to win this game, and
Yeah,
that says a lot. I mean, that's two
okay.
losses so far in the Champions League for Real Madrid, and right now we're looking like as we set it up for some real big names going to end up being in that knockout round, the playoff round to end up into the knockout stages.
Mm-hmm. I spit.
Um,
I like that. That is what I want to
Next
see.
up is did you on Real Madrid players? Did you see that Kylian Mbappe said that he is not going to play for France again as long as Deschamps is in charge?
Yeah, that's speed talk. That has to be speed talk
Dog,
because
it
if
had
the
to be that
stamps,
he feel like he had enough power to displace this man. It had to be.
hey, maybe. But what happens when the champ stays? Okay, they qualify
And
for
World
World
Cup
Cup,
comes.
and then some journalists bring out this, this thing that Mbappe said 2 years ago about, hey, so what going on? We see you playing, but you said you wasn't gonna play under the champs. Please explain this one to us.
Well, boy, the only
What
thing
will
I
he
can
have to
think
say?
of is that he probably playing on the fact that they might lose these two international games without him and put real pressure on Deschamps. And I mean, to be fair, they have not been doing well. They have not been scoring.
Watch them win without him, and then we're gonna beat Thunder. I
And
already
we'll
spit,
still let
guys.
execute with that one.
I am ready spit.
On the Wednesday now, obviously Barca won 5-2, lovely ones. I think the more important, the more like standout ones is like Atalanta won, pick up them. Bayern won at home to Benfica, and I know that
Yeah.
that sounds little, but I think that's a big result for Bayern. It looked
Mhm.
like the Champions was kind of slipping from the grasp of it. That's a
Mhm.
big one to just get those points on the board. Another game, just like this weekend, going here where Musiala scores the only goal to get them to win, and Brest continues a
Mm.
fantastic run in the Champions League and win again. Barca obviously won 5-2, no shocks there.
Yeah. That
But
was an
the
easy
three big
opponent.
ones is that Villa lost to Club Brugge,
Yeah,
and
boy.
we also how they lost was Tyrone Mings trying to pick up the ball and roll it. Not a good look. Um, the other one is Atletico Madrid winning in France against PSG in extra time from a
Yeah.
Korea goal. And the last one was Arsenal losing to Inter. And honestly, obviously, I watched the game. But I think like a big part too, boy, what I thought this last one, boy, is we just been in a rut when it comes into the attack,
Yeah,
boy. And like I was even telling Jordan this when I was watching you, I was like, boy, honestly, I just want international break coming in. Because I think we just need to pause. We need to just
yeah.
stop and
Makes
catch
sense.
yourself a little bit, you know?
Makes sense.
But like, bro, like we had two goal line clearances. We had some great saves from someone. We had blocks in front of goal. Like, dog, it was reaching a point where I was like, what
I
else,
know.
why?
Yeah,
You know, what else? And I mean, they obviously defended really well. I was really impressed with Bisek again on the day. I think
yeah.
like he's a
He's good.
fantastic
He's good.
defender.
He
You
is
know, and I
good.
know obviously that they rested some players, but gosh, like we don't pretend like Arsenal wasn't missing players either. You
Yeah, yeah.
know, and outside of the penalty, and it had a chance Dumfries hit the bar with this Travella shot that he tried. Inter didn't really threaten much, and so like I feel like I would have take a draw. Like I think a draw would have been fair, but it is what it is. I still think like City as well. I think like we still in a pretty strong position. I think it was something I know too is we now have played the 4 games so far. We play the 4 teams that would come from the pot one and pot two. So the remainder
Mhm.
of our teams is in the lower pot. So
Should be
should be
easy
pretty
stuff.
good from there. Yeah. Well, it's sharp easy. I ain't gonna say nothing easy. Because we actually had to play Sporting. Well, we are Amarim less Sporting. But we had to play United, which will be Amarim plus United. So who
Right.
knows which one we go again. But yeah, I think that's basically it. We go on international break now, Patsy. Anything you want to leave with the people?
No, maybe we do our pod next weekend because why not? We could do something, fun, some type of trivia stuff. We don't really do
Yeah, I would
much
like
for
to do that.
international break, so why not?
Yeah. I'm gonna try to do some talk. I have been lining up some stuff with some stats guys online. I've been trying to get it done. It's just coordinating time, but I'll try
Hmm.
to work on that. But yeah, I think we can leave it there. All right, guys. Thank
Yeah,
you
of
guys so much. Patrick, thank you for your time, bro. I always appreciate it.
course.
And we'll see you guys. Catch you guys next time. See you soon. Take it easy. Later.